Okay, you're going to be self-checking your work and try to use a contrasting pen or pencil to what you used originally, so I can see how you did initially and then compare that with the corrections that you made. So if you just get something correct completely the first time around, just put a little check mark next to it. And again, if you got something incorrect, put the correct version in preferably in a contrasting color, pen or pencil, and so it stands out a little bit more. Okay, so for this first one, it is a superb and inexpensive restaurant with food expertly served by wait staff. They may be in appetizing forms, but the food is what is supposed to be served in appetizing forms. So with food expertly served, we're going to move that wording up here in appetizing forms by wait staff, period. And that little circle with the X in it is the official copy editing mark for inserting a period. The second one we did already, so we know that that means that children are not on the menu, and so we would need to just rephrase that so that we put children eat for $2 and then remove the zeros from the end of that. Number 3, now is your chance to have your ears pierced and get an extra pair of earrings to take home. Otherwise, it sounds like you're getting an extra pair of ears to take home. So a lot of times you want to look back at the most recent thing referred to in the sentence and make sure that that matches up with what we're talking about next, because if it doesn't, then we get that unintentional meaning. So in this case, we want to make sure that we're saying extra pair of earrings. Okay. So the next one, option number 8, is 7 ounces of choice sirloin steak, boiled to your liking and smothered with golden fried onion rings. Likeness means that they would be making the steak so that it looks like you, which might be kind of neat, but I don't think any restaurants really do that. So yeah, we want liking. Then number 5, the hotel has bowling alleys, tennis courts, and we're going to take out comfortable beds because that doesn't really fit in with what we're listing here. So tennis courts and other athletic facilities, and we could say comma as well as comfortable beds. So we've got all our sports related stuff and then our beds. Okay, and then finally, we don't want to get rid of ants with a U. We want to get rid of ants with an A, so A-N-T-S. And that's all we need to do on that one. Okay, so we're going to move on to the next worksheet. This is our capitalization. The first one, shape the remains of a Waldorf salad, a few French fries. We're going to lowercase the F in French fries. Everything else is going to stay capitalized. This is actually under the food entry in your AP style book. So it does seem a little weird that the F in French fries in this case is lowercase, but just if you have questions about something like this, sometimes these are a little bit obscure, but start off with checking your AP style book. If you don't find it there, usually the next place to go is a reputable dictionary and see what they're using in as far as capitalization. Okay, now the next one, degrees. Very often people will capitalize degrees because it kind of feels like they should be capitalized, but anything like psychology, communication, etc. should be lowercase. Now just this backslash here, that means lowercase. So that's the copy editing mark, the traditional copy editing mark for lowercasing. So that should be lowercase p. Same thing when we were talking about a communication degree. The only degrees that would actually be capitalized would be if we're talking about like an actual language, which would be capital. So like we're saying English degree, French degree, something like that. Those would be capital since it's the name of a language. But everything else is lowercase. University should also be capitalized. The triple underline is the copy editing mark, by the way, for indicating something should be capitalized. And it should be capitalized since it's part of the official name of University of Kansas. If we were just talking about university by itself, then it wouldn't need to be capitalized. Next sentence. The Pope sent the President a message, and although President feels very official, as does Pope, those are both lowercase. You would treat those actually just like any other title, meaning with AP style, unless you have that before a name, then you would lowercase it. But if we were saying President Trump or another president's name or Pope John Paul, then we would capitalize it. So again, just capitalize when it goes before a name, lowercase when it stands by itself. The next one, this is not an official job title, so we're going to lowercase outfielder here. So we're going to lowercase the O. The next one, this is part of the last name. This should be capitalized, the E here. And then we talked about this before. When you have a full sentence quote, the first letter of the first word should be capitalized, so the T should be capitalized. Next one, when we're talking about directions, when you're talking about heading east or south, etc., or traveling west, that should be lowercase. But when we're talking about a region, that should be capitalized. So in this sentence, east should be capitalized because we're talking about the east, the region of the east. But west, again, is just a direction here, so that's going to be lowercase. Number 7, the Associated Press style book. This is part of the title, so S should be capitalized. Journalist Bible is lowercase, since we're talking about this in generic terms. If we were saying the Bible, that would be capitalized. But when we're using it just in a generic form, then it is lowercase. The next one, Burkina Faso, which I think is actually misspelled, so give yourself a pat on the back if you caught that. But anyway, the capitalization mistake here is that northwest, again, region should be capitalized, so the N there should be capitalized. Next one, Basset Hound should be lowercase. Again, this is one of those a little bit more obscure rules, but when it comes to dog breeds, AP style actually says to go by what the dictionary says in as far as whether or not to capitalize it, and it will depend on the dog breed. So some dog breed names are capitalized, some are lowercase, some are actually the first word might be capitalized and then the second part of the breed name might be lowercase, so you always have to look that up. Okay, the next one, in this case we do have a name here, so we want to capitalize president. Number 11, the president said constitutional guarantees are sufficient and no legislation by Congress would help. In this case, this is actually, there are no mistakes in this sentence and as far as capitalization. So since we are referring to the official U.S. Congress, this should be capitalized, and again, president is by itself, so it should be lowercase. So I'm not sure why they threw that one in, maybe as a curveball, but there are no capitalization errors in that. Number 12, city council. City and council, since it's part of the formal name here, should be capitalized. So Bangor City Council should be capitalized. 7 p.m. for AP style, it's lowercase the P and the M. 13, the federal offense, that should be lowercase. So when we're talking about the distinction between something between federal, state, and local, it would always be lowercase. If we were referring to something official like the Federal Bureau of Investigation, then the F would be capitalized. Next one, Men from Earth. Earth, planet name, obviously, should be capitalized. Next one, Rocky Mountains. Mountains is part of the name here in this case, so mountains should be capitalized. In the next one, you want to always capitalize formal party names. So Republicans should be capitalized. 17 we're going to skip, so don't worry about 17. I'm not a big fan of question number 17, so just skip that one. Number 18, I'd walk a mile for a camel. We're going to assume the sign says that just the C is capitalized, so the A, the M, and the E, and the L should all be lowercase. And as a copy editor, really the quickest way to indicate that would just put B to put a backslash through each of those letters, but if you did it another way, that's fine. Number 19, the Army buys Jeeps by the thousand. When we're talking about the Army vehicle Jeep, that's actually always lowercase. If we were talking about the consumer vehicle Jeep, that is a brand name or trademark name, so that should be capitalized. But the Army Jeep would be lowercase, so we need to lowercase that. And 20 we're also going to skip, so don't worry about that one. So we're done with that sheet, okay? We're going on to the next one, the wordy phrases worksheet. So number 1 is done for you. Number 2, the suspect had resided in Suffolk County for 3 years, so we can take out a period of. Number 3, firefighters say they are not sure what caused the fire, and investigation is pending, means something's still going on, so we can take out still. Instead of saying at the conclusion of, we can just say after the semester, and students will begin to prepare for summer and take out there and vacations. If you have something slightly different from these, but you have sort of the same idea, like slightly different wording, that's fine. It doesn't have to be exactly the same. Number 5, if there is a tie, the prize will be divided, so we can take out in the event that. So I know it's a little bit hard to see with my writing here, but yeah, that does say if, and then there is a tie, so in the event that is crossed out. Number 6, the suspect was seen near the apartment complex, so we can take out in the immediate vicinity of. Number 7, the construction is typically new. Something's being constructed newly, so we can take out new. And subways are underground, so we can take out underground because it's redundant to say underground subway. Number 8, all of the children, we can just say except Billy or but Billy. Remember to do the reading assignment. Number 9, the company has identified an opportunity to simplify the process, plan design, and eventually reduce capital and total operating costs. So we can take out in the not too distant future and just say and eventually reduce capital. Okay. Number 10, the juvenile. So if somebody's a juvenile, they're young. So that's a redundancy that we don't need. And then also we can again take out a period of and just say for several weeks. Finally, number 11, after puncturing a tire, the couple found out they were without a spare tire instead of in the absence of. So those are the worksheets, and you'll be resubmitting those next class, so make sure to bring those to class with your corrections. And also, if you have any questions about any of them, definitely feel free to send me an email. All right, thank you.